Okay, so if I'm gonna work with copper pipe, installing it, repairing it, whatever, what do I actually need for tools? There's so many different tools I see out here. There's so many different brands. People are hyping up all these expensive things. Do I actually need some of that? And fortunately, the list of things that you actually really have to have is pretty small and pretty simple. I'm David, your home repair coach. I'm going to walk you through some of what you need and what you might not need. Now, of course, this is not necessarily going to be every tool to do every plumbing job, even every copper sweating job by any means. But this is definitely the essential list of things you will have to have, and this will get you a very long ways. You can always add things here and there as you need to. So, of course, always a good idea to start with safety. So, good pair of safety glasses. I've got my prescription safeties inside, shields, sturdy shoes, of course. Nothing here that's really going to be making a lot of noise. Not too worried about hearing protection, but never hurts to have it around. Gloves, maybe. You know, you can get some sharp burrs on the pipe. You might be working near old framing, nails sticking out, can offer a little protection. But on the flip side, once you're using the torch, I don't like having the gloves on. If you ever do have an incident, you can actually melt those Flux gloves onto your fingers and have a bigger situation. So just be mindful of that. Other things as far as safety, we also have fire extinguisher. Always good to have a fire extinguisher handy because with soldering, you are using a torch. You got a mini flamethrower here, and a lot of times you're working in tight spaces near framing or other, subfloor, other wood. So there is some risk there. There's very real risk. On a related note, another thing a lot of people don't think about, but that can be very handy to have. There's just a little spray bottle like one of these Zepp ones. Fill this up with water and just kind of get stuff around where you're working wet. If you're up against wood framing, studs, joists, whatever, you don't even need to soak them. Just just mist the surface a little bit so they're less likely to start on fire. I mean, even just cutting down the little bit of char in there makes it look a little cleaner job when you're done. So definitely good things to have there. You're going to have to mark and measure your pipe, and obviously this is not a copper specific tool. Good chance you have this in your kit already, but definitely going to want a tape measure. I've got this Comelin brand. I think if I'm saying that right, I picked this up not too long ago and I'm liking it a lot so far. Milwaukee's another one I like quite a bit. I've burned through a lot of tape measures over 15 years or so, and I kind of like picking a nice one that fits me well because I'm doing it all the time. But at the end of the day, especially for repair stuff, a tape measure is a tape measure. Don't overthink it too much. For marking, usually like a Sharpie. One of these regular kind of fine point Sharpies is good. I think I like these like extra fine ones even better there. Leave a real nice sharp line for a little more precision. But you can totally get by with the other ones. Excuse me, once you've measured and marked it, you're going to need to cut it. And you do, for copper, you are going to need a special tool called a tubing cutter. This is a rigid brand. Most rigid plumbing tools are very good quality, very well regarded in the industry. I've had great luck with them. This is a much more compact design. It's designed for working in tighter spaces that you'll encounter when you're doing maintenance, when you're repairing existing stuff, as opposed to, if you're running all new piping. This one, so with the smaller ones, the trade-off is the size of pipe that it will cut a little bit. This will still go up, I believe, all the way to 1 1/8, which is going to be plenty enough for home repair. The majority of what you'll be running into in your own house will probably be 1/2 inch, maybe some 3/4. I think usually about the only inch pipe that you're going to find in single family residential is like where it goes into the house. And you're not usually working with that very often. You might want to stop and consider if you want to get involved in that, if you find yourself in a situation where you are about to cut some of that. The other thing then, of course, is just speed. Some of the other ones with the bigger handles and a little more grip on them, you can move a little bit faster if you don't have to be uptight, or you're laying things out on the floor before putting them in. Some of the power tool companies, you know, Milwaukee makes a very nice battery powered one that'll zip through copper piping very quickly. Definitely worth having if you're doing a whole bunch of it, if you're doing this professional all the time. But for a few repairs around your house, even doing a run or two of piping, something small like this will be great. This is what I keep in my tool bag, my tool bucket. That's my standard bag I grab getting out of the truck for every, out of the work van for every repair. This has been plenty enough for what I'm doing. So yeah, I mean, maybe someday if we run in a bigger project and or you'll just want to play with something, you can experiment with a few other ones. But this is a good balance of size and speed. Very good quality tool. I'll show you how to use this on some of the other videos. Oh, and then as far as compact goes, oh nice, my light's gonna run out of battery here. Make some nice background here. Nice racket. So the other one, the only thing that's probably more compact than is some of these automatic cutters like these Lennox ones. These are really, really nice when they're working. The problem is I have had this one quit after not that much use, and then when they quit, they're really a pain. They stick on the pipe and you're trying to get them off. I've heard that from other people as well, that those are sometimes a little unreliable. So I just stick with this classic design here. Very hard to go wrong with this rigid one. And of course, all this stuff will be putting links in the descriptions as well. Once you've cut the pipe, you will need to deburr it. You could get by without it, but you're really better to go ahead and properly deburr the pipe. There's a few different types there. I don't actually have the pen type here for demonstration. The pen type, I probably should pull one out. That's kind of the classic one with the little squiggly thing on the top. Those work very well as well. And there's also the triangle type ones. I would stay away from those. I had a rigid one. It was great when it was new. That was actually one of the few rigid tools I think I've had that was just okay. Worked really well when it was new, inside, reaming the insides, but they seem like they wear out really fast, whereas the pen ones seem like they'll last forever. But I actually just picked up one of these Blue Monster inner and outer brushes. So the brush is the other cleaning step that you'll need, especially when you're working on old pipe. You need to knock off a lot of that corrosion, oxidation, whatever, before cleaning it up. If you're doing a repair and you're tying into the existing pipe, these inside-outside brushes are really good. You can, now I'm kind of bouncing between things here because it's a combination tool. There are some that just have that part. I mean, you could in a pinch use that to just clean up the pipe for a few bucks less, but I would say for 15 bucks, I'd probably just go ahead and pick one of these up, because jumping back to the reamer, if you can see in there, there's that little metal plate that goes up and down, and that is a reamer. So when you cut the pipe, it leaves a little burr, and that will do a very nice job taking that little burr off, just spinning around the pipe, simultaneously brushing the outside with these. So there's a 3/4 size and a 1/2 inch size. So I guess, you know, technically that's the one limitation on these, is they'll only do the 1/4 and the 1/2 inch, or the 3/4 and the 1/2 inch, sorry. So I suppose if you were doing a lot of bigger pipe, you probably still find yourself wanting a pen reamer and some different tools. There is a power drill brush I could show you at some point too that can be handy. I've even seen people substituting that for the reamer. But I think I do kind of like using the actual reamer to really get that burr out and brush them off. So this inside-outside brush, very handy. I mean, there are a couple there. I guess these are supposed to be some kind of can opener on here. Then they got a square for B valve, or for B gas valves on B tanks if you're a full-time plumber. If you're just doing residential, probably not going to run into that too much. Once you've done that, once you've reamed them and brushed them if necessary, then you're going to need to clean them up with some emery cloth, sandpaper, whatever you want to call it. There's actually some in this flux paste and solder kit. They give you a little bit. That'll go a ways. It's, you know, one piece there. And then I didn't even realize they had that in there. Forgot about that. So I grabbed another roll of this for $3-4 bucks. Pretty basic stuff. Nothing too crazy expensive. So if you want some extra stuff around, that's a good one. I know there are some, I had some other stuff that I felt like was maybe a little sturdier cloth, maybe finer scratches. I can't remember if that was Blue Monster or what. I went and set that somewhere. I kind of don't think it really makes a difference. I mean, it's all kind of polishing up the pipe, kind of leaving some fine scratches on there to get you a good bond with when you put the flux and the solder on there. So I'm not too worried about it. I know they do make like an open, like a mesh type one too, that I think is supposed to be a little better for not gumming up when you're cleaning some of those old pipes like I was talking about before, existing pipes, and you're tying into that. I haven't played with it. Again, I usually just use the brush, knock most of it off with that, clean it up with a little bit of this sand cloth, emery cloth, whatever you want to call that. And once you do that, you're going to need to flux the copper. There's a paste that you put on there to help the solder flow well. That is essential. This one, I got this like Harris brand kit because that's what they had on the shelf. And this is some kind of, I haven't messed with this before. It's some kind of water soluble flux. So I think I'll end up leaving a link for the classic like Odie brand kits with, I think it's a petroleum based or something. The standard flux that I've used before, this is probably fine, but I'm not always crazy about trying new things, especially in plumbing. But the Odie ones are pretty similar pack. They'll give you, you know, it's a little 2-pack of stuff here. You'll find it with the flux paste and the roll of solder, medium-sized roll of solder. And it's a good value because not only is it what usually, you know, the stuff that you need for that, and they will throw a brush in for the flux as well, you know, but it's a little bit of a smaller roll of solder, which is nice. This goes a ways actually, and solder actually does get kind of expensive, so it's kind of a good deal getting a smaller roll there. As I said, they give you a brush. I actually use that one already. They just give you a little flux brush. It's similar to one of these, usually a little bit smaller. I usually like having a few extra ones around. You'll probably be fine with that one brush, especially if you're just doing a couple little things. But I find that I drop them, they get dirty, whatever. I like having a fresh brush. Maybe I'm a little too finicky about it. But I use these for a lot of other things too. You'll see me using them chair repairs, various other woodwork and gluing things up. I'll use them for rust remover, cleaning up small tools. I've even used them putting black oxide compound on impact socket sets, freshening up a few of those for sale. So they're a handy thing to have around, and I mean, these are some beefier ones for like 39 cents a pop, I think, from Menards. I'll look for a Home Depot link. I'll look for some from Home Depot that I can give you a link to as well, so that you can grab some of those. So if you're at it, I'd say probably spend another $1 or $2, get a couple of these, but you don't necessarily have to. And then the last item that you'll need is a torch. And I'll probably just have you grab one of these Bernzomatic TS4000 torch heads. Good, they're good, solid brand, solid torch head. Not too many bells and whistles, but they work well. Got a good name to them. There's, of course, plenty of other options. I mean, Bernzomatic and some other ones make some that have like a flexible hose to the head that I think that can maybe be handy, but I think this will probably be enough for you, especially if you're just starting out. But really, I mean, with one of these, you can actually do a lot with one of these torches. I mean, even doing bigger stuff and whatnot. These are just a one-touch trigger, so they just screw onto your cylinder like so. Snug them down a little bit, unlock. I left it in the unlocked, which is maybe not ideal, but whatever. And then there's just a push trigger, instant flame. It's kind of cool. Resist the temptation to misuse those. But as you can see, I threw it on this yellow cylinder here. This is MAPP gas. Technically, I guess it's not MAPP anymore. It's some kind of blend, I think. MAPP Pro. I can't remember exactly what it is, but that's usually what I grab. I'd recommend you just go ahead and grab one of these as well. You can get by with standard propane. Most common ones are these blue cylinders. It'll be plenty for doing just basic 1/2 inch 3/4 copper, sticking that together, it'll be fine. But for just a little bit more money, this stuff burns a lot hotter. It'll heat your joints up and get you moving through the stuff a lot faster. And then definitely if you get in any bigger stuff, you know, once you start doing inch and a half plus pipe, you start really needing this heat to get those joints hot enough, get your solder flowing well and not be there forever. Similar thing, shower valve bodies, which we'll be doing soon. Those are big brass heat sinks. They'll suck up a lot of heat. So sweating those in, the MAPP really is good there too. So just letting you know what the options are, but generally just grab the MAPP. And then the last thing, which I could have lumped in with the safety stuff, but you're gonna want some kind of heat shield. So I've got this blue monster one, some kind of special fabric. This is not regular cloth. It's very heat resistant. I like the cloth because, you know, I can fold it down nice and small in my bag, cram it in my pocket, whatever. Very flexible to wrap around stuff when I'm working in spaces. Not crazy expensive. I know people use lots of different stuff. You know, sheet metal pieces of flashing will work. To me though, it's like, well, it stops the heat, but the metal itself is still hot, and then you gotta set that somewhere. You might have sharp edges from cutting it. You know, I've heard of people using like slate tile or various things like that, but to me, I think you just grab the heat blanket here. I think that's a solid option there. They do a great job. And that should be all the stuff you need. Pretty soon here we'll be jumping into how to actually cut, measure and mark and cut the copper. We'll talk about cleaning it up. We'll talk about sweating it. We'll start having some actual projects like installing shower valves. There will also be some videos probably posted before this in order, comparing different types of, different ways to join copper, copper versus PEX A versus PEX B versus galvanized. We'll compare some different plumbing types. You got some options. You know what your options are as you're figuring out the best way to do this stuff. But as far as sweating the copper or soldering the copper, this is really the core kit here. You're going to need this stuff. This will go a long ways for you. Hopefully this was helpful. If it was, please like and subscribe. I'm David, your home repair coach, and we'll be seeing you soon.